Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. Quiet, right? Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. Test. How about that? Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. Test. Ready? Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. You gotta be super close. Kind of low. Test 7 8 9. Would you say 10? He's trying to see how it sounds on our live stream. Yeah. Oh, do you want him? Do you want him to turn it up? Test 7 8. Test 7 8 9. You sure? All right, dude. All right, see. Yeah, what's the weather outside?
Welcome to Jerry's Cafe.
We are a destination cafe and we offer craft food and beverages, meaning we make everything fresh on site when you order. And all of our food and our beverages are prepared and served by adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities.
And then lastly, just say the name. Tom? There you go. Enjoy. My favorite part of working at Jerry's Cafe is definitely interacting with friends I've met throughout the years and the espresso machine.
My co-founder Amy Philpott and I opened Jerry's Cafe for job opportunities. And a staggering statistic tells us that 80% of adults with disabilities are unemployed. I believe differently, and this is the place where our employees can work and feel proud and contribute and can see that they have value and purpose, and they are given the responsibility that anyone would be given in a job, and we expect nothing less than them to perform at their highest level. So we see great success in every single employee and their independence and their offerings and activities here at Jerry's Cafe.
The large, hot, white chocolate pumpkin pie with whipped cream. It is to die for. It is delicious. It's amazing. Well, the favorite part of working here is that I get to serve customers. I am a cashier. They understand to include people with us with exceptionalities.
I wanted to tell you, I've been watching you today. You're really good at your job. You're doing great.
I always like to serve customers. Customers go first.
We are super proud of our partnership with District 214. District 214 has been a supporter from the very beginning of our foundation, and several of the schools have done fundraising and helped us get our doors open to Jerry's Cafe. Proudly, we have 12 or 13 graduates from the District 214 schools who will work at Jerry's Cafe as our active employees.
This is where we do our salad prep. This is where we make all the salads. And then over here is the sandwich line. This is where we make all of our sandwiches. I have worked here since day one. I love it here. I love my supportive team members, and I like serving customers. Here is one chicken Mediterranean trip salad.
We know that our community members have lots of choices, but we're hoping that you will come and choose Jerry's Cafe.
Thank you.
When you come inside and engage with our employees, you feel a sense of joy, and you will start your day feeling the best way that you can, with a joyful heart and knowing that Jerry's Cafe has provided you with delicious coffee, breakfast, or lunch.
All right, welcome to our 55th year of putting together an incredible community service project through our SOS class here at John Hersey High School. As you can see around me, it is organized chaos, but it is an incredible day for our students to serve our community by packaging and collecting food that's going to be going to local food pantries in our area to support those in need.
We're really happy to be able to do the food drive here at Hersey because it really just brings the whole school together, and we are able to help our community and bring the energy with everyone here.
Take it out.
For the past, I would say about 2 months, we've been kind of working together with SOS, Junior Leaders, Baseball, and we've all gathered together. We've done bag and tag with collective from communities, and we've all come together, and it's really amazing to see the turnout. And then later on, we're going to be visiting 8 local food pantries, and it's really exciting. We're just thankful for everyone who's helped each other along the way. It's been really fun.
It's a team effort, but it's been so fun.
Prospect Marching Knights are heading to D.C.
We're in Washington, D.C.
Prospect Marching Knights were invited to travel to Washington, D.C. this year for Veterans Day. So we're taking the band out to our nation's capital. We're going to do some great tours of some of the monuments and the museums and a lot of the sites of D.C. But it all culminates with performances on Veterans Day. So we've been working really hard to prepare, and we're so excited for our students to have this opportunity. Throughout the trip, we had a few opportunities where veterans would actually see our group of students out and about and spoke to our students. So in addition to touring these places, our students were able to actually interact with a number of veterans over the course of the trip, which kind of made everything a little more real and genuine and authentic. So our first day in DC was really impactful and gave our students sort of a big picture overview of the city and some of the history, and really set the stage for our performance day coming up. So on Veterans Day, our morning started off with a performance at the Lincoln Memorial. There we were, right on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, facing the Washington Monument. Just a really special opportunity for our students to have a really great place to perform.
It was an honor to perform on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial with the PMK, where so much of America's history has taken place.
The experience was very impactful for me. It was a unique opportunity that I have never had before, and it was something that I will cherish for the rest of my life.
One of our students, Emily Pollock, was also asked to deliver a speech at the Lincoln Memorial.
I've always wanted to help people, so I'm going to serve my country. More specifically, I want to become an officer in the military.
Her speech was really wonderful and got a really great reception at the event. In fact, after the event was over, I had a number of veterans come track me down to tell me how great her speech was, and actually they wanted to meet her and take pictures with her because they were so moved by what she had to say.
My father served in the Navy, and so he instilled in me the value of serving and caring for our veterans and those who serve us. And so being able to thank them today and place medals around their shoulders and welcome them home was really impactful for me as well.
United States It was an honor to play at the World War II Memorial today. It was such an honor because music is a way to share emotions without using words.
Our performances in DC got a lot of really good responses. One of them, a story was told to me by one of our chaperones, that there was literally a Marine veteran who was at a performance at the Iwo Jima Memorial who was literally in tears watching the performance and just expressed to our chaperone how much it meant to him that this group of teenagers from the Chicago area had come out there and was performing, and he was just really moved by it, and I thought that was just a really neat story to hear coming out of the performance. So any trip like this takes a lot of time and energy to put together. I feel really fortunate that our school was very supportive of this endeavor. We had a bunch of parents who traveled with us and did anything they could to make this a great experience for our students. I'm so glad we were able to bring our students to DC. Veterans Day seemed like a perfect time to bring them, and it really, just in the end, I think the whole trip turned out really, really great, and I'm so happy we were able to make it happen.
We're super excited to have the 9/11 Never Forget mobile exhibit here at Hersey High School. As the truck arrived, we had Hersey parents out front with some patriotic balloons. We had Hersey students lining the sidewalks. We had some, mini American flags like they would show on the honor flights. The spirit was high.
Good morning. I'd like to welcome you to the Stephen Siller Tunnel of Towers mobile exhibit. We have a 50-foot trailer, approximately 1,100 square feet exhibit. We travel our nation to commemorate the brave sacrifice of the firefighters, police officers that gave their life that day in the greatest rescue and recovery effort in our nation's history.
The reason we're here is at Hershey High School to come educate our youth on the happenings of that day, but also the happenings of the days after, and to let them know that it was a huge tragedy. It was the single largest loss of life day we've ever had. It was also the largest rescue we've ever had as well, but just all the good that has come from that tragic day. And they're going to learn things that they can't read about. They're going to hear stories that some have never been told, some have been told many times.
Stephen Siller was one of the 343 firefighters that died that morning. He was getting off duty that morning. He was going to play golf with his older brothers, heard the plane strike, heard on the news that the plane struck the building, turned around, drove back to his firehouse, Squad 1, located in downtown Brooklyn. They had already been dispatched to the disaster. He got his gear, drove his own truck to the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, where he donned 60 pounds of gear, ran 2.5 miles through the tunnel, mustered up with the rest of the firefighters, and gave his life that day, honoring his oath that he took to protect life and property.
So this is about remembering. So we want people to remember, obviously, for adults to remember and for the kids to learn. So we don't want this forgotten. It's not taught in most schools in America. And they have the privilege of talking to people who were there. We can't talk to people who were in the Civil War or these other moments in American history, but they can. And I think that's pretty special. Thanks for having us, and this means more to us than you. This means a lot to these kids, and these kids would be great. They're very respectful. They listen. It's nice. It's nice to see.
A special thanks, especially to the FDNY crew, to the Siller Foundation, to Soldiers Journey Home, to District 214, to all of Hersey. I'm grateful for everybody. A special shout out to Bill Dustin for the Magic Spirit. Special shout out to Chief Harris, Arlington Heights Police. The coolest part about this project was there's like a whole bunch of people that were on it and did it. It wouldn't have happened without a whole bunch of people. The list is just too long, and to me, that's actually a good thing to celebrate.
This is the Rolling Meadows Band alumni event, so we decided to get the band back together. This year being the 40th anniversary of the Jazz and Meadows Festival, so it was kind of an opportunity to, hey, can we bring people back at homecoming? I had talked to some of the previous band directors, so that's Len King in the 70s, 80s, early 90s. We have Bill Jastrow and David Boggs from the 90s, and then of course Chris Booty, who retired several years ago. Those people set the foundation for everything that we have here.
I'm giving you a hug. Oh my God, look at you. I'd have paid money to be here tonight. I really would have. It's one of those things I'd pay money to be here.
This is the band reunion where your closest friends were really at in high school. And so you're with your closest friends and regrouping after 40-something years and going, holy cow. Yeah.
Mr. King is the reason why I'm here today, not just at the school, but what I do in life. I owe everything to Mr.
Yes.
King. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have gone to college. And if I hadn't gone to college, who knows what I would be doing.
You know, some of the stuff that we're doing right now is like we never stop doing it, you know, just to be around these guys again and just hanging out. 40 years seems like a long time, but it seems like it's kind of a short time too, you know.
This is fantastic. I mean, I knew it was going to be good, but not this good. 52 of my actual students are in this group. I get a lot of feedback from them telling me how much they enjoyed the music program with me and how they appreciate music for their life. That's really special because to know that they are still thinking about me and what we did here, it's just very satisfying.
Well, I flew back, and I'm glad I did, you know, especially to see Mr. King. He meant a lot to us. He just brought in the jazz, and I mean, we had world-class, you know, experience that most kids never would have had, you know, a real depth of exposure to great music because of Mr. King, so I'm glad I got to see him.
It's so fun to be back, though. I love it. My family's here. They're so excited.
So is my family.
Yeah.
My son's here. My husband's here. So
Yeah.
it's really great.
If you are on the fence of coming, whether it's debating about whether to come or not, you should definitely come next time. It feels like a long time ago, but in some ways, like you never left. Like I'm like, okay, we're gonna go march over to the stadium and we're gonna play for the football team. So yeah, okay.
Thank you to all the alumni who are coming here today. I mean, some people are traveling across the country. I know one of the directors came from Arizona. And that's a testament to really what this event is about, and it's bringing people together through our shared love of music and how music has changed our lives and shaped who we are as humans.
Alumni, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Good evening. If you could all take your seats, we'll get started with the meeting. Hi, good evening. Here's my gavel. I'd like to call order the Township High School District 214 Board of Education regular meeting for Thursday, March 13th, 2025. Could the secretary, Ms. Keys, please call the roll?
Mr. Dessling? Fiorito? Heineman? Kreutzer?
Aye.
Palmer?
Here, present.
Rauch? And Walker. We have a quorum.
Thank you. So tonight we are having a Pledge of Allegiance from the specialized school. I'd like to call up Ms. Norris, please.
Come on up, everybody. Okay, my name is Valerie Norris. I am the principal of the specialized schools housed right here. Thank you for inviting us to the board meeting this evening. With me, I have students and staff representing the Life Transition Program housed right here at Forest View. The Life Program services students aged 18 to 22 who need additional time and skills to enter the world of work and adult life. With me today are Peter W. in the Cub shirt, Eric Magnuson, and Mallory and Samantha Matuga, my twins. Also, Katie Druger, Associate Principal at the Specialized Schools, and Amy Wisniewski, who is an instructional assistant, but currently student teaching through the IA to PEL program. We are so proud of her. She is going to be signing the pledge using American Sign Language. And last but not least, we have Alexa Vogel, our speech-language pathologist, who will be using the school-issued iPad to demonstrate the pledge using our Touch Chat program. All right, Alexa, please start us off with the pledge. And let's face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Have a great board meeting.
Thank you. Next is the approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion and a second, please? There's been a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Fiorito. Rauk. Dessling. Heineman. Kreutzer.
Aye.
Palmer. And Walker. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is approval of the workshop meeting minutes from February 27th, 2025. Motion and a second, please. Motion and a second. Any additions or corrections? Please call the roll.
Palmer. Fiorito. Dessling. Heineman. Kreutzer.
Aye.
Rauk. And Walker. Motion carries 601.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is board recognition. And before I turn it over to Mr. Maggi, I have a special presentation. The Illinois School Board Association, of which District 214 is a member, has 21 divisions. Each division has a representative called a director, which I have the privilege of being the North Cook Division Director. On a yearly basis, the association presents awards in various categories to their board leader recognition. The association program honors individual school board members who attend association events and professional development activities such as division meetings and the joint annual conference, as well as participation in workshops, online courses, and other training. A recently revamped program added a new category called the Legacy Award. This year across the state, 4 school board members are Legacy Board leaders with 25 or more years of board service. The North Cook Division had 2 recipients. I am happy to present Bill Dustling with the IASB 2025 Legacy Award. Congratulations, Bill. Come on up. Okay, I'd like to call up Patrick Maggi for the student recognition portion.
Thank you. Will Vice President Walker please join us up on stage? Students, as I call your name or group, please join us on stage along with the principal and coach or advisor. After you receive your certificate, please remain on stage for photos. Will Rolling Meadows, Evan Calwait, please join us on stage. Freshman Evan Calwait made an impressive debut at the state level, qualifying in both the 50 freestyle and 100-yard breaststroke. He showcased his talent by earning a state medal, finishing 5th in the 100-yard breaststroke and 7th in the 50 free. His remarkable performance sets the stage for an exciting future in high school swimming. Congratulations, Evan, and Coach Monica Chiappetta. Well, Elk Grove High School junior, Julia Corzin, please join us on stage. Elk Grove High School junior, Julia Corzin is the IHSA state champion bowler in the wheelchair division. After placing 3rd in 2024, Julia was determined to achieve more. She dedicated herself over the summer, putting in the hard work and preparation to elevate her game. This season, she dominated the competition, shattering a 10-year IHSA state record with an incredible 990 series score across 6 games, averaging 165 per game. Julia, your dedication and perseverance are truly inspiring. Congratulations to you and coaches Christopher Malacio and Tim Riddell. Congratulations. Will Rolling Meadows' Jaden Ramel please join us on stage? Sophomore Jaden Ramel made history as the first ever District 214 and MSL boys bowler to earn an IHSA state medal. His impressive third place finish came with a 12-game total of 2,718 pins, averaging 226.5 per game. Congratulations to Jaden on this incredible achievement. Congratulations, Jaden and Coach Jim Voiles. Will Hersey's Maria Reyes please join us on stage? In gymnastics, Maria Reyes qualified for state on all-around as a freshman. After a very successful state series, she finished third in floor exercise at the state competition. Huge accomplishment for a freshman in joining a team coming off a state championship last season. Congratulations, Maria and Coach Shannon Barrett. Will prospects Viola Pianetto and Wheeling's Leaf Burkett please join us on stage? Viola is a 2-year wrestler at Prospect and the first Prospect girls wrestler to medal at state. After advancing to state as a junior, she returned her senior year with an impressive 39-2 record, with her only losses coming to the state champion. Along the way, she defeated a nationally ranked opponent to reach the semifinal round. We are proud of Viola's historic accomplishments and the characters she represents our programs with. Leaf, a junior at Wheeling High School and a founding member of the Wheeling wrestling team, has been instrumental in its growth and success. A fierce competitor, she earned a spot at the IHSA state tournament last season and returned stronger this year, winning 6 tournament championships and reaching the finals in 3 more, including the IHSA state finals. With 116 takedowns this season, her dedication extends beyond competition as she trains year-round to refine her skills. Lee's perseverance and leadership have brought pride to Wheeling High School, leaving a lasting impact on the program. Congratulations, Viola, Leaf, and coaches John Bassler, Angelina Graff, and Tony Hiltever. Will the Hersey boys wrestling team please join us on stage? First up, Rodrigo Arceo. Cole Anselmi. Vigo Baranowski. Ernest Zambala. TJ Emery III. Drew Frank. Victor Gallegos. Elijah Garza. Everett Gorkakis, Nino Kavarkis, Luke Koklanis, Harrison Lacase, Nick Larson, Danny Lehman, Connor Mauga, Grant Mauga, Max Mukhamedaliv, Anthony Orozco Diaz, Gustavo Quiros, Jonathan Slumo, Frankie Tago, Nolan Variano, Riddick Variano, Yanni Vurutir Itzis, Ben Zebron. Hersey Wrestling had a standout season, finishing 4th at the IHSA State Meet in Bloomington, Illinois. The team reached the Final Four, falling in the semifinals to eventual state champion Marmion Academy. Along the way, they defeated Grant in the IHSA team sectionals and Edwardsville at state to secure an IHSA trophy. Hersey has now won 3 state IHSA regional titles and 4 consecutive MSL East championships. They claimed the overall MSL tournament championship for the 3rd time in the past 4 years. Additionally, Elijah and Max were both all-state wrestlers. Elijah placed 4th at state in the 132-pound division, capping off an outstanding season with 44 wins. His dedication in the offseason paid off, overcoming challenges with determination. A key contributor to the team's state trophy, he proved he could compete with anyone. Elijah will continue his wrestling career at Harper College while studying fire science. Max placed 5th at state in the 144-pound division, finishing the season with 47 wins. A 3-time IHSA individual state place winner, he has amassed over 150 career wins and served as the team captain for 3 seasons, leading the Huskies to a 4th-place team finish this year. With an impressive 4.75 GPA, Max will attend the University of Chicago to study applied math and computer science while continuing his wrestling career. Congratulations, Hersey Boys wrestling team and coaches Matt Bogus, Manny Ramirez, Joe Rupsiak, and Eric Schinhoster. Buffalo Grove's Sasha Horilkiv could not be here tonight. Sasha became the first ever BG freshman to place at the IHSA Wrestling State Finals. He finished the event in 4th place after quality wins over state and nationally ranked opponents. He finished his season with an overall record of 34-4, with 32 of his victories being either technical falls or falls, and was the MSL champion at 113 pounds. Congratulations, Sasha and Coach George Barris. In competitive cheerleading, Hersey's Avery Hinman could not be here tonight. She has earned a prestigious honor, being named to the All-State team. The Illinois High School Cheerleading Coaches Organization and the Illinois Cheerleading Coaches Association recognize the outstanding achievements and exemplary skills of cheerleaders throughout Illinois, selecting only a few through a rigorous evaluation process. This honor showcases Avery's dedication, passion, and athleticism, representing the pinnacle of cheerleading excellence in the state. Congratulations, Avery and Coach Will Henson. For the Buffalo Grove State Cheer Team recognition, out of respect for several team members who are attending a memorial service for a Buffalo Grove alum and former teammate, we will be moving our recognition of the competitive cheerleading team to a future meeting. While we are not celebrating the team tonight, we do want to acknowledge their incredible accomplishments at the IHSA State Championship in Bloomington. Over the past 14 years, this program has built an impressive legacy. 14 top 10 finishes, 13 top 5 finishes, 8 state trophies, 4 state championships. This year, they continue their tradition of excellence, earning their 8th state trophy with a remarkable second place finish at the IHSA state meet. We look forward to honoring the entire team together at a later date. This past fall, musicians from all of our District 214 schools competed in the ILMEA District 7 audition process for the opportunity to qualify for the state convention in January. Based on their talents, 15 students were selected this year for the 2025 ILMEA Festival. While there, students took part in rigorous rehearsals in preparation for their honors all-state concert. Will the following musicians, student, please join us on stage as I call your name. For honors chorus from Elk Grove High School, Anthony Chambers. For honors band from Elk Grove High School, Sam Santori and Max Walechuk. From John Hersey High School, Asad Chaudhry. Shane Cheskis. Unable to be here tonight, Ethan Cho from Buffalo Grove High School and Otto Hammonds, Lauren O, and Ray Recklaus from Rolling Meadows High School. For honors orchestra, from John Hersey High School, Grace Fuller. For honors jazz band from Elk Grove High School, Federal Petingo. From John Hersey High School, Jack Obrebsky. Kyle Park. Unable to be here tonight, Future Music Educator Seminar from Rolling Meadows High School, Karis Kim and Shane Sutton. Congratulations, students and directors Vince Ginaldi, Ron Fiorito, Kashena Cisneros-Watson, Maura Brown, Spencer Heil, Christopher Kuzmanov, Christopher Barnum, and Elliot Heil. Congratulations. Will Rolling Meadows' Daniel Bullish please join us on stage? Sophomore Daniel Bolash represented District 214 at the Illinois High School Theater Festival as a member of the All-State Company for Production, The Prom. The All-State Production is a celebration of the best theater performers and technicians from across the state. Daniel was selected based on his interview and demonstration of technical skill over 300 other students. During this production process, Daniel mic'd 42 performers and 48 individual instruments, helped design production sound effects, and served as a QLab operator for the performances. Congratulations, Daniel, and sponsor Stephanie Svars. Will Elk Grove's Olivia Brito, Prospects Dylan May, Chiara Stathakis, Sydney Strimling, James Galanis, and Claire Wincup, as well as Wheeling's Ari Ellis. Please join us on stage. Elk Grove senior Olivia Brito's dedication and talent have made her a cornerstone of our speech team for the past 3 years. Competing in the most challenging sectional in Illinois, she has consistently risen to the occasion, proving herself against the toughest competition in the state. Olivia pushed herself and her teammates to improve all season long, and her tenacity earned her a trip to the state competition. Finishing as the IHSA fourth place informative speaker is a testament to her hard work. Prospect junior Dylan May placed second in dramatic interpretation and fourth in prose reading. In dramatic interpretation, Dylan took on the role of the protagonist in Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. In prose reading, Dylan's selection, How to Talk to a Widower, showcased his ability to interpret the literature through verbal and nonverbal communication. Prospect junior Chiara Stathakis placed fifth in extemporaneous speaking, where she explored current events and delivered a persuasive speech with only 30 minutes of preparation. Prospect senior Sydney Strimling placed fourth in radio speaking, crafting a professional 5-minute news broadcast from a provided packet in just 45 minutes. Prospect seniors James Galanis and Claire Wincoop placed second in dramatic duet acting, performing an 8-minute scene with nothing more than 2 chairs in lungs, a story about a couple coming to terms with the loss of their unborn baby. Wheeling senior Ari Ellis had an outstanding senior year in speech, showcasing consistency and determination. Performing a TED Talk piece on equity in books, she won 4 tournament championships, claimed MSL regional and sectional titles, and finished as state runner-up in Oracle declamation. Congratulations, students, and sponsors Stephen Colella, Bonnie Kale, Chrissy Johnson, Emmett Nee, Michael Piccoli, Francesca Sherrill, and Barrett Winston. Congratulations.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Lenny Walker. I'm proud to serve as the vice president on a school board of D214. You know, it's ironic that we're doing both tonight. I have 4 kids that went through D214 several years ago. 3 girls and a son. 3 girls were into athletics, and my son was into fine arts. So tonight, I really like being here to congratulate everybody and join everybody. So tonight we celebrate 2 groups of students, those excelling in fine arts and those excelling in athletics. While the disciplines may be different, they share a common foundation of dedication, perseverance, teamwork, and leadership. Artists and athletes alike commit countless hours to perfecting their craft, pushing their limits and overcoming challenges. Both groups inspire their peers, elevate our schools, and bring pride to our entire community. Whether through performance, competition, or creative expression, they do certainly enrich District 214 with their passion and excellence. Recognizing the students, we also recognize that success is never achieved alone. So I would ask everybody, parents, grandparents, guardians, extended family, and siblings to stand for a moment, please. We certainly know the sacrifices and unwavering support that you have been in the essential helping reach the level of all these student athletes and fine art performers tonight. We thank you for all you do and the contribution to the community. Thanks for being here tonight and all your continued support of the D214 programs. We celebrate everybody's accomplishments tonight and look forward to even greater successes ahead. Thanks for joining us tonight.
That concludes the student recognition portion. We're going to recess the Board of Education meeting for a few minutes. You can join us if you want in the boardroom for the rest of the meeting. But thank you and have a great evening. Board members, are you ready? We're good to go? Thank you. We're reconvening from the auditorium where we had board recognition, or student recognition, excuse me. Next on the agenda is public comments, and no one has signed up. Next, we have superintendent report. Dr. Rowe.
All right. Thank you. Well, I'm going to start with another recognition, just a little bit more of an intimate one for the board. The Illinois Association of School Boards recognizes programs, acknowledges school boards that learn and practice effective governance behaviors as identified in ISB's foundation principles of effective governance. The North Cook Division of the Illinois School Board Association has presented 7 awards to 7 districts that are exemplifying board governance. I'm proud to announce that District 214 Board of Education is the recipient of the School Board Governance Recognition Award. This is the 8th time the district has been recognized for this award in the 6th consecutive year. So thank you for your engagement and the continued professional development opportunities, as well as the guidance that you provide to the district. Our plaque is updated, and at the conclusion of the meeting, we'll all take a photo together under our logo here, but congratulations.
Thank you.
And then the only other topic I have is one that's just another topic of celebration that's it's really neat. It's something that I believe is new. Yesterday, former Special Education Teacher of the Year, Nicole McCormick, hosted a craft fair empowering entrepreneurs with disabilities at Forest View Education Center. There were over 20 businesses owned and operated by students and young adults with disabilities, including District 214 schools, District 211 schools, Glenbard schools, Barrington, and NSSEO. It was crowded, yet a wonderful display of what our young people can accomplish. It was a perfect time to celebrate them during this Disabilities Awareness Month. So I want to thank Nicole for continued leadership and the opportunity she provides for our kids and the love that she gives to them on a daily basis. It was a great celebration for what our kids can do. We were really proud to be a host and be a part of it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Rowe. Next on the agenda is board member updates. Mr. Dustling, would you like to start?
Yes, I will. Get it turned on, thank God. You know, I've attended a number of things since the last board meeting. The one yesterday that Superintendent Rowe mentioned was amazing. It was the first of those functions held in this room. It was hard to believe what some of the students had developed and really were selling. It was really, truly amazing and gratifying. The other events I attended, I'm amazed at like the Jazz in the Meadows or the marching band color guard that was at Rolling Meadows last year. I'm amazed at the number of parents that are involved that make this happen. We could not do it with the staffs we have, although they do a great job with everything. They're organizing it, but the parents are just so critical to what we do. The other thing was I was at the Robot Rumble over at Rolling Meadows a couple of weeks ago. I want to credit the CTE instructors from all of our schools for setting up the cage that the Robot Rumble takes place in and for setting up the whole place. That was a lot of work on their part to set it up and then have to take it down. Just all for the students. That's what it's all about. So that's my message. The students, the parents, that's what we're about. Thank you much.
Thank you. Okay. Lenny, Mr. Walker, would you like to go?
A couple of announcements just to make. So the D214 fall internship application is now open. Juniors and seniors for the upcoming fall semester can apply to participate in an internship. Students can access the application through school links. Then the deadline is fast approaching to apply for scholarships. Over $100,000 in scholarships are available to seniors, including opportunities for trades, women in STEM, and the Dr. David R. Schuler Redefining Ready competition. Deadline to apply is tomorrow at midnight. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Heineman?
Yeah, I've been busy. It's springtime and all educators seem to be real busy. I attended the Robot Rumble. That was very impressive. I attended the Arlington Heights Hearts of Gold, and we were very well represented there with, I think, 4 or 5 educators being recognized. Also attended a North Cook IASB dinner, and there was a very good discussion about AI and kind of where it's going and how it's affecting education. Was very impressed with 2 events at Wheeling High School. They did a science fair this last weekend, and they did ROTC drill competition in early February, I believe. And those are big projects, but they handled them with professionalism as expected, and everybody raved at how well it was handled. Today I was at the State of the Village breakfast at Arlington Heights, and it was, I'm from Mount Prospect, but it was good to see all the things that the Village of Arlington Heights is involved in. And I'm very much looking forward to going to the United Center on Sunday to watch Illinois high school ice hockey. The Buffalo Grove, Hershey, Wheeling combination team is playing in the championship game. This morning after the State of the Village breakfast, I went to the Mount Prospect Public Library, and they had a discussion and looking for input on what other things they can do with Human Services and Community Connection Center that's currently at Bussey Highway and Algonquin. There's lots of things, human service-wise, healthcare-wise, and there's a little library there also. It's an impressive facility, and it's very well located for some of the apartments kind of on the south side of Mount Prospect. But I think there's also conversations that can be had. We had one representative from Prospect High School, Danny, can't remember his last name, but he represented the high school very well, and I think he's well positioned for communications between the library, Human Services, and Prospect High School for the Village of Mount Prospect. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Ms. Rowe?
Thank you. Starting off with last Tuesday, March 4th, myself and Ms. Kara Kendrick hosted the Parent-Teacher Disciplinary Advisory and Behavior Interventions Committee. That is a meeting that is held and required by the state once a year, and wherein we discuss the policies that the state has issued over the last year regarding behavior interventions. 2 of the policies that were discussed were the new bullying policy, which indicates that we must reach out to parents or guardians within 24 hours of bullying, and the second policy update was regarding racism, and that the district must have a policy, which it does. Regarding behavioral interventions, a lot was covered, a lot of collaborative efforts with Ms. Kendrick and her staff, and the student services that represents the deans across all the schools. So our all 7 schools sent representation of a dean along with a parent from that school and talked about their efforts and how they have been meeting and updating policies and making sure that everything is like in all the schools and similar and such. They actually talked about having a dean swap so that they can see all the great activities that they're doing at each school and then bring it back and discuss and continue improvement there. Other targeted supports like REACH and ALOP, Care Solace was discussed, things that have been communicated through emails and just reiterated. And finally, we touched upon attendance and had a great discussion there. There have been some interventions that have been put in place, and we're seeing a decrease in our unexcused absences, so kudos to the staff and especially our student services and deans. And looking at the data a little closer, there is the excused absences are trending upward. And so I do want to point that out because I think it's important for our parents and guardians to be aware that, you know, we're an education district, and the best way that we can support your students and that our staff members excel is in-person learning. So I do know that sometimes, you know, there is sickness, and our family went through a bout of viruses, but it is important that your students are in class, and our staff is there to support, and they do try to reach out. So if there are concerns or questions, don't hesitate to reach out to our staff as well. So again, I want to thank the deans. They do an outstanding efforts throughout the year and for attending this meeting. Again, thank you to the parents. The meeting was a little over 2 hours, I believe. Seems to run a little long when I'm there, but that's great. It was good to hear the participation. And I also really want to recognize and acknowledge the staff that came. There was a good representation from Buffalo Grove High School as well as Rolling Meadows, and they had a lot of good insight, so thank you for that. I also attended, switching topics, to the Illinois Junior Academy of Science competition that Wheeling hosted. I was invited to be a judge, which I just absolutely enjoyed. I finished my judging and then had the opportunity to walk around and talk with students. In the field of science myself, it was just exhilarating to see the work that students are doing and the collaboration, watching the students even from, so they're all lined up in the gym in the field house with their presentations, and they're going through the scientific process, which is great to see, because I think sometimes when we leave and go out into the field, we try to identify the answer before we actually walk through the process. So it was good to hear about experimental and control variables and everything. I'll quit babbling too much, sorry. It was just great. There were topics from low temperature paint, so that we can put paint on our houses at a lower temperature, to tartarazine. They're talking about making transparent skin so they can do intravenous and things like that. The life of strawberries, just great. So kudos to Kim Milligan, Greg Wallace, and the whole science staff out at Wheeling, and a retiree, Carol Bouvier, sorry. She comes back and organizes special judges, and it just continues to show that our staff is exemplary even when they retire. So thank you for that. It was a great weekend. Okay, I'm finished. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for serving on that committee. Mr. Fiorito, please.
Yeah, I'm going to start with the breakfast today. It was nice having a D214 table there, and I really appreciated Mayor Hayes in his last meeting as State of the Village. He gave us a shout out called the quality of education in Arlington Heights, specifically Township District 214, as being one of the reasons why many people move into the village. I thought it was a really nice gesture on his part to recognize the fact that we do offer the best in education around. I also attended the Skills and Innovation Fair. It was my first time. I was the Virgin board member there, and I must say I was incredibly impressed. You know, there were so many opportunities for our young adults to go there and learn about possible professions that maybe down the line they would be part of. Some probably require college education and some don't. But the fact that so many vendors were there, they spoke very highly of our students and how they acted professionally. A lot of them were very engaged, and it was just a great opportunity. I'd like to see more of our students there, including our life schools. I think that would be important to include them next year. And I want to give a shout out to Barbara Kane and Angela Ferraza. They were two of the staff members that I talked to. Like I said, it was just an incredible experience. I was only there an hour, and I was just overwhelmed with how well it was run and how many opportunities the kids have. And then last but not least, I know this has nothing to do with our district, but it does have to do with the school board. So last night I attended the District 57 board debate, school board debate. There's 6 candidates for 4 open spots. And what impressed me more than anything was the civility and respect that these 6 candidates showed each other, to the point where they seemed to agree so often. It seemed to be almost a love fest. It was very impressive, and in today's world where negativity and just animosity toward each other, this was a bright sunshine moment for not just the world in general, to see 6 candidates get along, respect each other, compliment each other, and even have one candidate at the end in her closing comments tell the audience that no matter who you vote for, of the 6 candidates, you're going to get 4 really good board members, and that was very impressive. So I appreciate that refreshing 45 minutes last night, and I see our board being very similar in a lot of ways to that. So that's my update.
Thank you. I'm going to try to be brief here. I attended a lot of things that the board members have also mentioned, but one thing was attended the District Honors Dance Concert the other night at Elk Grove High School, where all of our schools had at least 2 dance performances. What a great night. It's just unbelievable night, and I love how they recognize the seniors at the end. And the Hearts of Gold, we did have a student that received a Hearts of Gold award. Prospect Orchestra presented at the Symphony Center on February 17th, and they were there with 2 other schools. What a venue to hear our students play at the Symphony Center. Well worth the trip. I was really pleased. They were there with Downers Grove South and O'Fallon Township High School, and kudos to all the students at Prospect who participated. And just one other thing. Today I got my Illinois School Board Journal in the mail, and I just want to point out that there are 2 articles in here about CTE, Career and Technical Education. And they talk about automotive, welding, and machinery and healthcare are the services that are really needed. And they give a nice graph about students that have that career pathway. And there's also an article, I know we passed this a few meetings ago, about Vision 2030, goes into it a little bit further. So when you get your school board journal, interesting reading. Thank you, board members. So now we're at action items. So we have 10.1.1. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Please call a roll.
Palmer. Aye. Fiorito.
Yes.
Dessling.
Yes.
Heineman.
Aye.
Rauk.
Aye.
Walker.
Yes.
And Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. We are at 10.2.1. A motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Keeley?
Thank you very much. This is a restatement of the preliminary financial guidelines for the fiscal year 26 budget that we reviewed at the last meeting. We have no substantial updates for it. As you know, we'll be coming back June 12th with the tentative budget. And then once board meeting dates are established for next year, we anticipate the final budget coming to the September board meeting.
Board members, questions? Call the roll.
Heineman.
Aye.
Fiorito.
Yes.
Dessling.
Yes.
Palmer.
Aye.
Rauk.
Aye.
Walker.
Yes.
And Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Motion and a second, please, for 10.2.2.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Please call a roll.
Heineman.
Aye.
Rauk.
Aye.
Dessling.
Yes.
Fiorito.
Yes.
Palmer. Aye. Walker.
Yes.
And Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Motion and a second, please, for 10.2.3.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Please call a roll.
Palmer. Aye. Heineman.
Aye.
Dessling.
Yes.
Fiorito.
Yes.
Rauk.
Aye.
Walker.
Yes.
And Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. 1024, a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Keeley?
Thank you very much. I'll give a brief introduction, and then the members of the Quest team are going to do a brief presentation and followed by Q&A with the board. As you see in your board packet, we do have a recommendation to approve a contract with Quest Food Management. We've had discussions here at the board over the last couple of months about this particular process with Christine Froley's retirement, and looking at the outside industry for some management support. And I'm happy to say that we did have a good turnout for this with some strong local companies. We had an extensive committee, or task force, as we like to say, of 8 members. A couple of them are here this evening to support the work that we've done. We went and tasted food at several different high schools, got a sense of what those operations looked like, what the vendors were able to bring to the table for us. And before you this evening, we do again have that recommendation to approve the contract with Quest Food Management as presented, and that's again in your packet. I believe there were a couple board questions that we have answered, and I'm going to turn the floor over to Nick Sicaro from Quest. He's the president of Quest, and he will give us an overview of their company.
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. I appreciate the chance to come chat with you guys a little bit about Quest, and more importantly about our vision for the program here at District 214. Before I go any further, I want to introduce Fennell Patel, our Senior Vice President of Business Development. It's funny, he's sitting in front of the folks from PMA. Fennell used to work at PMA and may have been in front of this group talking about some PMA work in the past, but glad to have all of our friends here tonight. So I want to start, I'll talk just a little bit about Quest and who we are, but I'll keep that as brief as I can because I know what's probably most interesting and important to you all is what do we want to do for the district, and what are our thoughts, and what do we see for the opportunities here for the district. So a little bit about Quest. We always like to start by talking just very briefly about our mission, vision, and values. To us as an organization, these are way more than just words on a wall. They really, especially if we look at the values, they are incredibly important words to us and hopefully kind of frame up what you all should expect from us in a partnership. We know that we're here because of the food and because of the food for the kids. We know that's why we're here. The foundation of that from our perspective is the partnership that we build with you and the partnership that we build with the community and with the administration. And in that partnership, we're going to have great days. We're going to have days where the students are super excited about what we're serving. And then we're going to have some days that we have stumbles and we have missteps. And inevitably, that's how every relationship works and every partnership works. And what we hope that you all will find in us as you look at those values and look at words like integrity and responsiveness and accountability is a true partner that's going to be here over the long haul with you, is going to take accountability when things don't go right, and is going to work really quickly to make things right when those things come up. And that over time, when we look back at how this is evolving, that we see a lot more good days than bad, and again, that we see quick responses whenever we do have those missteps or need to adjust. We have been around for about 40 years. This year is actually our 40th year anniversary. And the founding of our organization was in high school food service here in Chicagoland, and it still is very much at the core of who we are and what we do. We work with over 100 schools and school districts. I say schools and school districts because we also work with quite a few private schools and parochial schools in and around the Chicagoland area, and we're based in Lombard, so we're all local, which we think is super important for a partnership like this. Our portfolio, so we have over 20 high schools in Chicagoland, public high schools that are off the National School Lunch Program like District 214 is. Some of those districts we'll talk about in just a second. Maine Township High Schools we've been with since 2005, I think it is. Glenbrook we've been with since 2006. We're just completing our 10th year with Glenbrook. Riverside Brookfield High School we've been with for close to 15 years. So some really long extended partnerships with some of your peer school districts, which again we think is a really important reference point. We also have over 25 parochial high schools that are off of the National School Lunch Program here in Chicagoland. And so the experience that we have from those nearly 50 schools that we've been serving for decades, we think will really help inform some of the work that we hope to do here at the district. And in our proposal, which I think some of you had the opportunity to see, we had several examples. I'll give a couple here in just a second, of a pretty strong track record of growing sales, growing participation, and also growing participation in free meals of the free eligible students at so many of the schools that we serve. We think it is so important, especially as we look at schools that are off the National School Lunch Program, that we not only design programs for students who can afford to eat and who can afford to pay for their meals, but also for students who rely on free meals for a really important source of nutrition. So it is super important to us that we look at all of the populations of the schools that we're serving. So some of those growth examples, we'll talk about Maine Township High School for just a second. In the years that we've been there, we've seen about a 40% growth in sales. And about a 20% growth in free meal consumption. We like to see both of those numbers rise. Again, that tells us that we're designing programs that really appeal to the entire school population. We love showing these numbers at Glenbrook. We've more than doubled sales in the time that we've been at Glenbrook over their prior operator, and we've seen about a 40% growth in free meal participation. Which again, we love to see both of those move together. And then I think Niles is a really awesome example of seeing both of these move together. We've just finished our 6th year at Niles. We've seen, again, sales more than double, and we've seen free meal participation absolutely take off at Niles. So to see both of those move in tandem is really important to us and is a huge part of what we hope to do here at District 214. I want to talk for just a second about Lake Forest High School because it's a really relevant example to District 214. So Lake Forest High School has been partnering with us since 2017, that we started at Lake Forest High School. Before we started at Lake Forest, they were completely self-operated, just like District 214 is. And what prompted them to bring us on board is exactly what's happening here. They had a very talented, beloved, long-term food service director, nutrition services manager who was retiring. And as they were looking at how do we find the right person, train that person, support that person, all of those kinds of things to replace this individual, how do we do that as a district? And so they brought us on in part because we had been working with the K-8 district, District 67, for over a decade at that time. And we did exactly what we're proposing that we do here. We brought a food service director on board that's on our payroll, and then all of the hourly team members remained on the district's payroll, and they still are. Nothing has changed. So, you know, we respected that from day one, and that is still the way that the model is working at District 67 or District 115. Prior to our arrival, they had relatively low sales and participation. The district was subsidizing the program annually, so they were pulling money out of the education fund to help offset some of the shortages in the lunch program. And we were given a pretty clear mandate, not only to do a great job of transitioning the program in terms of what we were offering to the students, but also to make the program financially viable and sustainable for the district, so that the lunch program, the food service program really was supporting itself. So in the time that we have been there, sales have grown about 140% since 2017. Super proud of that. We saw over a 70% increase just in the first year alone. So huge lift in just the first year in sales. Again, all of the hourly team members are still on the district's payroll. We have continued to evolve the program year over year over year based on what the students are looking for, equipment set, the training, the skill set of the team. You know, this is a long-term game. What we want to do and what we're able to do in year one is not going to be the same as what we're able to do in years 3 and 4 as the skill set of the team continues to grow and evolve. And we've worked in very close partnership with the district as well in enhancing some of the dining spaces. Obviously, it's a much bigger lift here with so many schools, but we look forward to working with you all and the leadership and the facilities team here to think about what we can do to enhance the spaces as we work to enhance the program. So here's just a few pictures of what some of the committee members were able to see of some of our food options that we have at some of our locations. Those are actual shots, not staged ones, not things that we found on the internet. So just a little bit of a visual representation, since the folks in the room here weren't able to get out and see what we do on a daily basis. So for District 214, enough about Quest. We'll talk a little bit about what we want to do here specifically. So our program, our philosophy really is to use as many whole ingredients and cook as much scratch-made food as possible. I'm not going to tell you that we're going to be completely rid of processed food. French fries, as an example. We're not going to be cutting potatoes and making like French fries from scratch. I want to be honest with you guys. I don't know how to make our own mozzarella stick. So some of those kinds of things that we know kids like, we're going to see some of those convenience items that are processed, but the core of the program, we're going to see, you all should expect to see, more and more scratch-made foods, whole ingredients, and that those become a bigger part of the program over time as the skill set of the team continues to ramp up to be able to use those foods in the program. We'll see more of a mix of both assembled to order and grab-and-go foods. So today's high school students have grown up in the era of Chipotle, have grown up in the era of Starbucks. They are used to having things customized for them. They're used to being able to get things very quickly, high quality, and as you all know far better than I do, students today are busier than they ever have been. And so we have to make sure that the program really adapts to meet their scheduling demands and their needs. And really what we're trying to do is reflect the kinds of eating offerings and places that they're frequenting outside of school in the school environment. So again, those places like the Panera, the Chipotle, the Starbucks, those are the kinds of experiences that we're trying to mirror here. And the grab-and-go options, I'll just mention very quickly, those are things that are going to be made on site here. They're not things that we're bringing in from another commissary or a truck somewhere else. We understand, although we have a lot to learn, that every school is very unique in the community here. And so the customization of menus, we do not take, we never have taken as an organization, the approach that there's a one-size-fits-all for all locations. We brought the administration, the committee from 214 to Maine, township high schools, and those three schools all have different offerings because of the different requirements, requests, cultural backgrounds, all of those kinds of things of the schools. That's going to take us some time to learn, but we're excited that we have the existing dining services team members and the students to help us along the way and make those adjustments as quickly as possible. We've had a lot of conversations with the committee about meals for athletes, especially athletes who are traveling for away games, ways that we can provide dietary support with our registered dietitians on our team to support both in-season and out-of-season sort of training table, if you will. So excited to offer that as well. And then again, real deep commitment to robust offerings for students that qualify for free and reduced lunches. And of course, the district will have ultimate say on all of these things. Our job is to bring recommendations to the table, make our case, help the district sort of weigh pros and cons, and ultimately the district will retain control over all of these kinds of choices. For the people, we think about food people as sort of the first two legs of the stool, the partnership here. Our proposal is that we are seeking to bring on both a manager and an executive chef. So, and we believe that we can do that in a way that still makes financial sense for the district. This is, as you all know, a big district with a lot of service points and a lot of buildings. Expecting one manager to do the work that we think we will need to do in terms of building skill set, training, connecting with students, quality assurance, all of those kinds of things. It's a big job for one person. So the addition of the executive chef will not only help with things like menu planning, but will also go a long way in terms of making sure that we're doing our job to build the skill set and train the team that are currently here serving the students on a daily basis. We want to be really thoughtful and leverage these next few months to work closely with the district around how this transition works. We know that this is an unnerving time for the current dining services team. We know that. We go through these transitions, even if the dining services team members are transitioning from, say, a Sodexo to Quest, there's always a lot of angst about, is my job being eliminated? Are my hours going to change? Is someone going to mess with my pay? All of those kinds of things. And so we want to work with the team here to get in front of the team and really start to build that relationship and build that trust and be really thoughtful about how this transition is going to work as soon as humanly possible. We know this is a scary time, and the sooner that we can build that connection and build the trust with the team, the smoother this transition is going to go, and the more the students will benefit from it, and the faster the students will benefit from it. We've talked quite a bit about culinary training for the team members. That's a great skill set for us to help them build, whether they're staying with the district long-term or not. It's a great way for them to feel better about their capabilities and their own professional development for all the hourly team members here. The last thing I would just reference as a local organization, we have about 1,800 team members here in Chicagoland. We have over 150 salaried managers here in Chicago. Our entire corporate leadership team is in Lombard. We have access to a ton of resources that we can bring to bear here to support the team with opening the school year, training, large catering events, gaps, special events that we might want to host, all of those kinds of things that we're excited to be able to offer to the district as a local organization with the wealth of resources here on the people front to really help support the team on the ground. And then lastly, on the community front, so food committees are an enormous part of our identity as an organization. So this is getting out with the students, really hearing what's working, what's not working, new menu ideas they have, giving them the opportunity to taste and sample ideas that we might have, learning more about the kinds of places that they like to go outside of school. We also hear all kinds of interesting things about things that might prevent them from eating. Like, did you know that your second cashier at this school doesn't know how to work the register and it takes us too long so we don't go through there's all kinds of things that we learn from these student committees. So it's a great opportunity for us to engage with them and really understand what the barriers are to get them to eat and ways that we can improve the program. We want to get these moving as soon as possible so that we can have some baseline information to help support our planning as we go into next school year. We would love to get this, at least the first round of these done before the end of the school year. We have technology opportunities as well for students to provide feedback. My Customer Voice, scan a QR code, you can rate your meal, you can provide feedback about your experience. We will have this available to all the schools. We understand you guys are doing something like this, similar to this right now as well, which is great. And again, very community-driven menus and plans for what each individual school's program is going to look like. We know it's going to look somewhat the same, but we also expect that there will be some unique differences for each one of the specific locations. And then I think our job is to be in really close, clear, constant communication with district leadership about how the program's working, what's not working, where improvements need to be made, how it's performing financially, all of those types of things. And because of the uniqueness of this partnership, at the end of the day, all the money is the district's, all of the revenue is the district's, all of the expenses the district's. It really puts us in a great opportunity to make sure that we are coming to the table as partners and allies and being super transparent from a reporting standpoint so that we're all on the same page about where the program is and where we'd like it to go. So financially, I'm just about done here. Thanks for your patience. As we benchmark the current sales at District 214, against those 20 other high schools that we serve in Chicagoland that are off the National School Lunch Program, and we look at the free and reduced lunch eligibility rate here and compare it to some of those other schools, we think there is a significant opportunity for sales growth. That's not going to happen overnight. I mentioned that we saw a 70% lift in our first year at Lake Forest High School. That's kind of rare. It's very rare for us to see zero sales lift, but 70% is a big number. It will take time, but we do think that over time that there is a significant, we think potentially seven-figure opportunity to grow annual sales here. And we're not talking about growing sales by raising prices. We're talking about growing sales by getting more students to eat in the program. Again, this is all based on benchmark data of those other 20 schools that we serve. So now, we understand there are unique constraints at every building, facilities, all those kinds of things that we'll have to work hand in hand with both the dining services team and school leadership to understand how to navigate through those. Nonetheless, our experience tells us that there is pretty significant opportunity there. We also see some opportunity on the food cost side, and this is very common for self-operated programs. This is no insult whatsoever to the way the program is being run right now. As we look at the current financials, it looks like about 50 cents of every dollar brought in is spent on food. As an organization, we're significantly below that, We have pegged our projections for the first year or so in the low 40s. So I think in year one, we pegged our projection around 42 cents of every dollar coming in is spent on food. As an organization, we're a ways below that, but again, we know this transition is going to take time. Just that savings alone, even if sales didn't grow, is about $250,000 worth of savings annually, which would more than cover the cost of our fee. So we see some opportunity just on the numbers and only visiting 2 schools with both the sales and the food side. I think as we dig into the program more, we'll continue to see more and more opportunities, and we'll have to continue to pivot as we learn. So last couple of slides here, our proposed arrangement, very similar to what we have at Lake Forest High School, where we employ the management team. We pass through the cost of that management team to you all. We have also offered to pay all of the vendor invoices directly so that the district only has to pay 1 invoice. There's a lot of invoices that run through for all the food and beverage and supply purchases every month for running a program as large as this one. We have proposed a base fee where we would earn a management fee and an administrative fee for running the program. And then we would share in any annual surplus over, we've thrown out a threshold of $50,000, understanding that the district has some fixed costs, things like utilities, janitorial expenses. We understand that there are some costs incurred for running the program, but the intent with this is to really signal to the district that we want to be a partner in, again, moving this program to financial sustainability, and we know it's got a ways to go to get there. Lastly, we've offered an investment and some other additional funds to help with some equipment upgrades. We think there's some additional equipment that we can add in the back of the house to help make sure that we can move that fresh food, scratch food program as quickly as possible. We know the district has a lot of capital needs, and while we know $300,000 at the end of the day is probably a drop in the bucket to the district when it looks at its overall capital spend, again, we're really trying to signal that we want to be partners in moving this program along. So I know this is really difficult to see, but essentially what we're showing here and what we included in our proposal, we think this is like a multi-year path to financial sustainability. We're not going to get there in year 1. I'd be shocked if we got there in year 2. But we think as we get towards years 3 and beyond, that there is a real opportunity here to move this program towards one that's financially sustainable, which we have been charged per the RFP and the committee as an important part of what we're doing with the program here. There's a lot of moving parts in this, pricing, wage rates for the hourly team members, all of those kinds of things that we'll have to work hand in hand with the district on. But again, looking at our roster of those 45 plus high schools in Chicagoland that are off the National School Lunch Program, none of those schools are losing money. So we're confident that we can get 214 to that place. It's just going to take us a little bit of time. So to wrap up, we're really proud of the experience we have serving districts that are like yours. We know yours is very unique. But the depth of experience we have serving high schools that are off the National School Lunch Program here in Chicagoland, there isn't a single competitor out there that has the depth or wealth of experience that we have in this particular part of our industry, and we're proud of that. We're excited to bring that here. We think we've got proven track record of growing sales, growing student satisfaction, delivering some great financial outcomes for our partners. All driven by some of those program elements that we've spoken about. And we think that our financial arrangement really aligns with the motives and the intentions of what 214 wants for its food service program, and we're excited about this opportunity and really hopeful that this turns into a really lasting partnership where we're adding significant value to the district. The end.
Thank you. Board members, want to go? Okay, go ahead.
Thanks for joining tonight. A couple of questions for you, if I may. So we talk about the culinary experience. Do you have any history or any experience with blending in the culinary arts students of our district into the program and how we move them along as well?
We have some. We are doing that at some of our schools. We have some internship programs that we're doing. We have Actually, at Lake Forest is a great example. We have our general manager that is a regular part of the culinary arts, and at New Trier is another great example where our general manager and executive chef are actually going into the culinary arts programming and supporting some of the curriculum development, doing some judging of things like Iron Chef competitions and things of that nature. So we have experience with those partnerships going both ways. It really is kind of unique based on each individual school environment, but something that we absolutely welcome. It's also a great resource for us to understand what the students are really looking for and what's really going on with our program, what's working well and what's not working well. So we would certainly welcome that opportunity.
Okay, thank you for that. And then with the tariffs that are looming, right, we know the projections are based on pre-tariff pricing, I would guess, right?
Correct.
So nobody can predict the future. How will you handle the tariffs and how will that be handled with our cost per dollar?
That's a great question. So obviously, you know, we're dealing with avian flu impacts right now, and so we've had to make menu adjustments for what kinds of things we're doing with eggs, with poultry, et cetera. The tariffs are scary because of how much it's going to impact produce, which is such a huge part of what we're doing, what we want to do with fresh food, right? So there's a few things that we'll be looking at. So number one, our folks are shopping produce from 3 different produce vendors every week. We're not locked into a contract with one different vendor. So we have the opportunity to shop. That's something that we'll want the team here on site to do. Menu engineering is going to be a big part of what we do to try to navigate through the tariffs. We might have to look at some things like, hate to say this, but are there some things that might be canned or frozen that we might be able to get in the short run that might be more cost effective than fresh? Are there some menu modifications? I'm just going to use an example like avocados and guacamole, where maybe something like that used to be included on an international station that now we might have to do a 50-cent, upcharge or just take it off of the line. So menu engineering and shopping are really going to be the 2 biggest ways that we can try to navigate through this. But it is going to be a difficult environment for sure for us to navigate through this because of how broad these tariffs seem to be impacting the food supply chain.
Yep. So ask it in a different way, just for clarity for my own sake. So we're going to be very proactive in it, and it's not going to like creep up on us because we didn't act. You'll be, as soon as you get word of it, that's already in motion. And I would imagine, like most companies, you already have a plan. If the Mexican tariffs go up with all the produce that comes in from Mexico, you're going to address that, and here's what we do.
Correct. And if we're not proactive in that, we're not doing our jobs, right? So what's really difficult right now is how much uncertainty all of our suppliers are telling us about what products this is going to impact, when, and how much. What we're hearing from our suppliers is like the direction they're hearing from their industry associations is changing. Daily might be an exaggeration, but every few days to every couple of weeks, what they think this is going to impact, when and how much, continues to evolve. So we're in a little bit of a vacuum right now, to be totally candid with you, with some of our suppliers. I expect that will change over the upcoming weeks, and we're going to have to be really thoughtful about like what those day one menus look like and what kinds of things we just might not be able to afford to offer. I think the important part then is how are we engaging with the district around communication to the community to understand why we might not have offerings A, B, C that maybe were even there in years past because they're just not things that we can afford or feel like we can pass those costs along to the students.
Yeah. So I support this very much because I think the network of brain power that is coming into the district with your specialties is going to help everybody. However, we have to have some projections, I would think. If you're a numbers man, I can't believe that you're not on the back of a napkin going, okay, when lettuce does this, tomatoes do this, this is what happens.
Yeah.
We're all going through that now.
Yep.
So I would suspect that you're on top of it, and there might be a blip, but it's not going to be a devastating event for anybody involved, correct? Okay.
I would point to, just really quickly, I mean, like post-COVID, the 12 months or so post-COVID, when we saw food costs just running absolutely out of control, if we looked at our organizational performance on food costs during that point in time, it didn't raise by more than a couple tenths of a point of sales. I think we did a great job of navigating through those if-then scenarios like you're describing. I think, again, the challenge that we're just trying to work through right now is the certainty of understanding what it's going to impact so that we can make those decisions. But yes, we're prepared to work through that.
Okay. Thank you, and then I have one last question, believe it or not, for Dr. Rowe. I just stood up in front of everybody that we acknowledged tonight saying fine arts and athletes. So we give athletes food to go, but the fine arts kids are on their own? How does that work?
Well, I don't think that they're on their own. I think it's more of the nutrition for someone to exert themselves like in an athletic competition is where he was going with his point. But students that are going on trips, I'm not sure what our current practice is in terms of fine arts, but certainly not athletes only.
I just want to make sure that it's
No,
not
not at all.
misunderstood in here, because
I think the intent was, like before, if they're sending sandwiches with the basketball team on the way to an away game because of the physical exertion, they're going to provide them with a nutritional option that will fuel their body to maintain health and be able to perform at their best.
Yep. We'll continue to do
Same
the
as our
right thing.
students that are playing the trumpet and the saxophone in an orchestra or band competition headed downstairs.
Most people do better when they eat.
Thank you, Lenny.
Thanks for your time tonight.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you.
it.
Thanks for the questions.
Mr. Dustling, anything?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
On the Quest proposed financial arrangement. Whatever. 250K loan. Can you explain that to me?
Sure. So we're willing to put $50,000 upfront into equipment upgrades, signage, marketing, whatever we feel like is needed. The 250, the way that would basically work is we would front the cost for if we needed additional equipment upgrades, et cetera, and then we would essentially take the cost of that 250,000 or whatever amount we ended up spending, even if say it was 150 or 200 or whatever. We divide that amount over the number of months in the contract, and then that just shows up on the monthly bill back to the district as a monthly expense. So it's not meant to be a profit center for us. It's just meant to try to help move along some of the equipment upgrades or investments that may need to be required to move to that fresh program.
Okay, so we've got a 3-year contract. If it doesn't go any further, that's 250 that's coming out of that 3-year contract.
Correct.
Okay. Last page. The 3-year financial projection, again, is 3-year contract. We're looking at least your projection shows negative 258,000, negative 47, and positive of 103. 50% share of any net surplus, obviously with the 103, that's, what, 50,000+ piece. Is that hold true for the negatives? You share in the negatives 50% with us?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Board members? Go ahead.
Okay, thank you for coming and explaining this to us. Following Mr. Dustling's comments regarding the 3-year financial projections, so you say sales growth for 7 figures, we'll say, over time. Okay, so not necessarily over these 3 years, correct? Okay. Can you explain a little more? So there will be a Quest labor charge, the Quest management fee, and the administration fee. Can you explain a little bit about the management fee and what that pertains to, as opposed to the labor charge, which I assume is for the executive chef and the director?
Correct.
Okay.
So the labor charge will be for the on-site team. The management fee is for all of the time that we're going to spend organizationally supporting our on-site team and the program here. So the 2 individuals here will report up to a district manager. There's a whole host of operations support, culinary support, marketing support, IT support, all of those individuals that will be involved in supporting that team and the program, and we'll have regular contact with district leadership here. That's what the management fee is for, is organizationally the support that we're providing to the partnership. It's also, if I just going to be completely candid, the management and admin fee is how we make a profit for the program. The labor charge pass-through, that is just strictly a pass-through. It's actual tax fringe benefits, all that sort of stuff. There's no markup on that. So the management and admin fee cover our organizational costs to support the partnership.
Okay. And the director and the chef, will they have offices on our site? Okay, so they'll probably be located here at Forest View, I would assume, and then they'll go to the other sites. Okay. Have you worked with a district that more than one high school?
Yeah,
Yes, and
for
that's
sure.
the main township, okay.
For sure.
In-house,
Yeah.
okay. All right. And then I noticed that for the catering sales, so those are projected to double over the next 3 years, or each year consecutively. Okay.
So I'll speak to that just real quick. So we have much smaller districts where we are doing $250,000 to $400,000 a year in catering. We think 50 is a really small number for a district of this size. What we wanted to signal there is our willingness to be a partner to the district to hopefully bring some of that spend on site that maybe keeps some of the profit margins that are going to other businesses in the area. And we know the district wants to be good partners to businesses in the community. But if we can keep that margin here in the district, then that helps support the overall financial objectives here. I don't feel like we'll be doing our job if that number stays at 50. We think that's a really conservative estimate, but we hope there's some opportunity there.
Okay. And I would agree with Mr. Walker. It would be great if you would interact with our culinary programs. If you have the opportunity tomorrow at Harper, they're actually doing a competition, I believe, right? Is it
Got like a
tomorrow?
little Iron Chef competition going on?
Yes, I strongly recommend the
Yeah.
recipes. Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Fiorito?
All right, please leave that up there. Question I have for you, you have these increases for Quest labor, 6%, 5%, 5%. So just out of curiosity, who came up with that number?
So let me explain that differently. So the 6% is, that number is what percent of sales that represents, not a 6% raise.
Okay.
So if you look at, for example, on food, do you see where it says
Yep, I see it.
51% and 45%? So we're just trying to show over time what percentage of sales our labor represents. I think the assumption that we baked in there was a 4% annual increase for our labor.
Okay. All right, so second question I have is I'm a parent, okay, and I have a sophomore daughter who chooses to usually eat in at Hersey rather than going across the street. So what would be the average cost, low range, high range for the cost of your food?
Well, it's not going to be much different than what they have, what your daughter is experiencing now.
Okay.
So again, the district retains control of pricing. That's not our decision. We'll bring recommendations to the table. When we looked at the retail pricing for meals and a la carte options that the district has right now, we don't think there needs to be a whole lot of movement. Now, going back to the tariffs question, we'll have to figure out offerings cost and where that sort of, where those things intersect with one another as we head into next year. But the pricing model that's in place right now, we feel like is pretty good for what we would hope to offer with our program moving into next year.
And how does it compare to like, say like the main township? They're relatively close to us?
Yes.
They're same ballpark?
Right in the ballpark. And I think we actually provided, if I'm not mistaken, I think we provided main townships and I think one other district's pricing as well for comparison. You guys are right in the ballpark.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Dr. Rowe, do you want to add anything?
The only thing I would add would be a thank you. This presentation was very informative, very helpful. I appreciate all the time and energy, and to Mr. Keeley and the team, Mr. Maggi and Sherry Vittoria, I know in the building, appreciate the time and then energy you all put into this. It was a thorough process, and Quest was the unanimous decision of the team. I think is an important thing to add. They blew our team away, and I think they've earned this.
Okay. Okay. Call the roll?
Walker,
Yes.
Palmer. Aye. Dustling.
Yes.
Fiorito,
Yes.
Heineman,
Aye.
Rauk,
Aye.
and Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. A motion and a second for 1025, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Keeley?
Thank you very much. This is a typical annual, dare I say, perfunctory Ms. Palmer, function here
You
for
shall
the
dare.
business office.
Don't you love that?
That we perform on an annual basis. So, as you know, we will not be bringing the final budget back for approval from the board until September. Therefore, we're seeking authority this evening to act within the auspices of that soon-to-be-set budget. We do, as a district, encumber our salaries and benefits up front at the beginning of the school year. So this action by the board allows the operation to continue until that fiscal year 26 budget is officially approved and filed with the state.
Questions, board members? Call the roll.
Dustling.
Yes.
Fiorito.
Yes.
Heineman.
Aye.
Palmer.
Aye.
Rauk.
Aye.
Walker.
Yes.
Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Thank you, Quest. That was a great presentation. Really appreciate it.
Looking forward to it.
Yep, looking forward to it. Let's see. Motion and a second for 10-3-1, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Palmer.
Aye.
Dustling.
Yes.
Fiorito.
Yes.
Heineman.
Aye.
Rauk.
Aye.
Walker.
Yes.
And Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. 10-4-1, please. Motion and a second, please.
Moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Yuli.
Thank you. This agenda item is related to replacements for 3 rooftop units. Is it not working?
Is it on?
It's on. Is that on? Is that better?
Gotta
I'll
move,
it
yeah.
up. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll start over. 3 rooftop units will need to be replaced at Wheeling High School. The ages of these rooftop units are 34, 35, and 36 years old. Average expected lifespan is 15 years.
Yeah.
These units are now obsolete, and they no longer manufacture replacement parts. Any questions?
Okay, then. So,
Sorry, that is for this summer. This summer's.
oh, it's a 2025 project. So, this has been a bugaboo of mine for a few years now. The Board of Education used to get a document from before your time that, I can't remember if it was by school or by rooftop, but I think it was by school, that had the age of the rooftop unit and when it was going to be replaced, okay? I haven't seen that document in a number of years. And I'm hoping that whenever we get to the construction, that will be something that we will be seeing in the future. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's a 15-year lifespan and it's 30 years old.
Yeah, so as part of that facility assessment, right, that was the audit to get all of that information. Ms. Stack and her team are taking that information and putting it in a digestible format.
Yep.
We don't want to just send that facility assessment. It's really hard to kind of sift through and read. So I've seen one version of the document for just boilers, and it looks great and really easy to digest and understand. And they're working through the other mechanical systems as well to be able to share that information.
Yeah, it's not necessarily that I need to see it, but if the document is there and always updated, you know when this stuff is coming up.
I actually think it should be an annual, just a brief report to the board of, just, you get a 10-year visual of it, and
Right.
it doesn't have to be a 30-minute discussion, but just presented so you see what's coming, because as we've discussed internally, it plays a vital role in terms of how we build the budget and what operations needs. If we can know, 5, 10, 15 years
Yep.
out, when the parking lots need to be paved, or we just a summer we're going to patch, or it helps, it's huge, it's really vital.
Additionally, our people that live in district, I'm sure, would like to see those types of things so that they can look ahead and understand what's going to impact the school their kids go to, or other things like the costs that are coming down the road.
Any other board members? So what's the lifespan of these new units?
Do you know that off the top of your head?
Oh, still, Okay. Any other discussion?
Because they're high-efficient units, will they cost less to run?
Yes.
Well, I like that. Thank you.
Okay, we had a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Rauk,
Aye.
Palmer,
Aye.
Dessling, Fiorito,
Yes.
Heineman,
Aye.
Walker,
Yes.
Kreutzer.
Aye,
Motion carries 6-0.
thank you.
President Kreitzer, I'd like to ask that we amend 10.4.2, approval of summer construction 2026 authorization. There's no mention in the description of the Rolling Meadows High School student services renovation, and I think we need to add it.
It is in there.
Yeah, I know.
It's not in the agenda item.
It's not on the agenda, but it is on the board book premiere.
Yeah. I apologize for not mentioning it beforehand.
Okay, I'll take it out of your pay.
I'll second the motion to amend the agenda.
Thank you. Do we need a vote on an amended agenda item? Okay, call the roll.
Fiorito,
Yes.
Palmer,
Aye.
Dessling, Heineman,
Aye.
Rauk,
Aye.
Walker,
Yes.
and Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Okay. Motion and a second on the amended agenda item.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Just for those in the audience, it's not written on the agenda, but it is in Board Book Premiere it does list Rolling Meadows High School. So, Mr. Yulee, please.
Thank you. So this is that time of year where we bring following summer's projects to the Board of Education for project authorization. So we want to talk through two significant projects. Really, the bulk of the work is going to be at Wheeling High School in summer of '26, which we'll walk through, and then there's a smaller needed project at Rolling Meadows High School, which will be a very visible project. Let me switch to the next slide, please. So the first focal point is we're continuing with our student services kind of work throughout the district. Wheeling High School is up next, and what you'll see in that highlighted area is the entire footprint that we're going to be renovating, which includes the nurse's office to the top of your screen, all the way down to the main office, which you run right into when you come in that main entry. A couple focal points with that: we're doing a full roof replacement, full HVAC replacement, and a full curtain wall replacement. So we're getting rid of and replacing those single pane windows. We are scheduled to do a spring break start. The difference here, when we did Elk Grove, that was a spring break, and then Hersey was January. Now we're scheduling spring break. That's really due to the asbestos abatement required, so there's minimal abatement required in this project. So we've had our team of engineers, architects on site kind of doing that preliminary work. So we're comfortable with a scheduled spring start. So this is all conceptual design. Once approved, we will start the design development. That's when we'll get with the building administrative team and start kind of cycling through that design process. So that's a full-scale renovation, nurse's office, student services area, and the main office. Any questions before I move on? Yes.
My question is, I know the Wheeling project seems to be very similar to what we did at Hersey. And so my question is there anything that we learned from the Hersey project that we can apply to Wheeling?
Yeah, I think the uniqueness here is this is an almost identical footprint to Elk Grove. And so we're taking those design elements and are able to apply them. The difference here is that Elk Grove main office was disconnected from that space and already renovated prior years. And so the difference will be the addition of the main office renovation in this project.
And so we're starting during spring break. Where will the people who occupy that space be housed?
We haven't gotten there yet. That'll be part of the design process. Yes.
If you think about the Elk Grove High School renovation of student services, they just went all over the school. They had signs all over the place of where the displaced person was going to be. So, yeah.
Okay. So we'll transition to the next project at Wheeling High School, which is the pool. And we have some photos. I need you to think about this project from the pool deck down below everything in the pool that you see. This is all underneath is what we're talking about here. We've had some concrete delamination due to increased humidity down below. And so this project requires us to kind of tackle some of that infrastructure, that concrete work. We're gonna take that opportunity to replace all the electrical and plumbing, which is really at the point of rusting out. We're also adding additional mechanical components to manage the excess humidity. So this is kind of a refresh, reinvigorating the guts below the pool. Some of the units are fairly new. Those will go right back in place. So it's kind of a refresh. We're adding some additional components, but this is another. So as we talk about Wheeling, we're mobilizing for student services. This is a Pepper project, and we'll start tackling these things as we move through. So we don't have a projected start date on this work yet, but it'll kind of be in tandem as we mobilize. We tackle abatement. We start student services. Students start clearing out is when we tackle some of these other projects as well. So again, this is just a significant renovation underneath the pool deck and the pool itself.
So do we have some learnings from Prospect on the pool that we can avoid?
Yeah, that project was the pool itself, and we're doing everything underneath the pool. So it's a completely different project.
But there's nothing we learned from that could be applied here?
I mean, if there's lessons to be learned, we'll have to see the parallels in the two projects and absolutely do a comparison.
Yeah.
The oldest pool in the district.
Yes. Yes.
So the question I have is, we're talking about underneath, but are we looking to do anything on deck, like the starting blocks, any of the deck? It just looks old.
Old.
The deck itself is. Don't throw your gum there.
Yeah, don't.
That would be cool.
The pool in Wheeling, we are not able to do anything on a pool deck itself. This pool is grandfathered because the drain inside the pool, it's original with the pool. That if we will do any type of the work with the diving boards, we will do anything with the drainage, with anything with existing pool, we will have to build brand new bigger pool.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can we clean
Aren't
it
you
up,
asked?
freshen it up, and paint?
Oh, my gosh. What'd you say, Millie?
What about like paint and?
Aesthetics, yes.
Aesthetics
Absolutely, like
there?
starting blocks, that's equipment, but the
Right.
diving boards are at a height because of the depth of the pool itself. It's not as deep to allow for more height on the diving boards.
Sorry, did you say that, so the starting blocks could be
The
replaced?
starting blocks, I believe we could.
All right.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Yulee?
Yes, we'll transition to, I have two more slides, quick ones. The last project is the auto shop roof, which is 46 years old. We've had this queued up for a couple of years. We're ready for it. That also includes some HV mechanical work, so we'll be tackling cooling elements for the back of the house, cafeteria, the kitchen itself. We're going from 2 to 1 high efficiency units for the faculty lounge, and then we're adding cooling to the auto shop.
I think it was 2 years ago, I went and looked at the renovation, and we went into the autos. So I don't remember I know there was something done in auto shop, but we're still renovating autos. After this, are we done with autos, or is there still more to? You didn't throw your gum out, did you?
Yes, 2 years ago, we did auto shop. We did the main exhaust system. We replaced that. We also put additional exhaust over there. We paint and did some additional beautification. And now we are planning to bring the cooling and put brand new 2 units and the roof, and then we'll be done.
Okay. Thank you, Annetta.
Yeah, good
Ed?
idea.
Last one, Rolling Meadows High School, we are experiencing some subgrade issues on the main entry plaza, right when you walk in. So if you've been there, you've seen the heaving in the concrete, and we did some investigation. Thankfully, there's no leak in the main water line, which runs right underneath that space, but we do have some soil issues that we have to tackle. When we go ahead and take care of that concrete, we'll finish it off. So that mall-looking pyramid in the main entry will come down. And again, design process, we'll start to work with the building administrative team to kind of work through design components, the needs, student spaces, are they eating outside? We'll work through all of that. But that main entry will look vastly different after we complete this project.
So you're pulling the pyramid down. We don't know what will go in its place or what we're going to do with that canopy?
Yeah, we've looked at some really modern canopy designs that come off the building. There are a lot of different options and routes we can go with that.
Okay, board members? Okay, call the roll.
Palmer.
Aye.
Fiorito.
Yes.
Dessling.
Yes.
Heineman.
Aye.
Rauk.
Aye.
Walker. And Kreutzer.
Aye,
Motion carries 7-0.
thank you. 1043, please, motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Mr. Yulee?
Thank you. This is, you've seen these agenda items come at least twice a year. So we've purchased the controllers that was board approved in the fall. Now we are ready for the installation of a modern building automation system. Buffalo Grove is the 4th building in the district that will receive this. You'll see Prospect controllers coming eventually as the 5th building. So this is just part of our plan, and we're carrying that out.
Board members? Call the roll.
Rauk.
Aye.
Palmer.
Aye.
Dessling.
Yes.
Fiorito.
Yes.
Heineman.
Aye.
Walker.
Yes.
Kreutzer.
Aye,
Motion carries 7-0.
thank you. 1044, a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Mr. Yulee?
Thank you. This is all of the HVAC components for the Wheeling project that we just discussed. This is just being run through a purchasing cooperative with Train. So it's all the mechanical equipment required for that summer 26 project.
Board members?
I got a question.
I-
So I'm gonna just borrow something from Lenny. So with the tariffs, are we concerned with the price that these projects might just get elevated?
I have no idea, but we can certainly start asking those questions.
Yeah, because I know we've done a phenomenal job of going out for bid 18 months, which is really great. We saved ourselves a lot of money, and
Yeah.
I'm just wondering.
I do know that these units are manufactured in the United States. I just don't know how they're sourcing all those components. But
Okay.
I'll certainly dig into that.
No, thanks, Chris, I appreciate
It's in
that.
Kentucky, right?
Kentucky, yeah.
Maybe this is a good time to talk about why we go to cooperative pricing. Would you like to do it, or Mr. Keeley? Tim, you want to talk about cooperative?
Absolutely, yeah. As Chris said, it really has benefited the district. I know we had some conversations last year about it. So certainly we have certain protections there. So what's before you tonight, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, that's locked in. So
Yes.
that again is one of the advantages. Were there further questions on the use of cooperatives?
Yeah, just explain what a cooperative pricing, or
Certainly. So
where- why we
per-
use the,
Absolutely. So a purchasing cooperative is essentially just that. I'm supposed to not use the word to define the word, but essentially a public body somewhere in the country would have put out this product for public bid, and it'd be authorized by that governing body. And then different governing bodies, such as school district, municipalities, et cetera, are able to draw on that, provided we're members of it. So I believe this one is it Omnia, this particular
I
one?
think it is.
And so we are an active member of that cooperative. And so, this could have been bid out in, say, Minnesota for a completely different piece of equipment, but it sets a significant discount and allows school districts or public bodies to streamline the procurement process.
Okay. Call the roll.
Fiorito,
Yes.
Palmer,
Aye.
Dessling.
Yes.
Heineman,
Aye.
Rauk,
Aye.
Walker,
Yes.
Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Now we have a couple discussion items. Ms. Kraft, you want to talk about the job fair?
Sure. Last Saturday morning, we hosted, for the third year in a row, we hosted an educator job fair here at Forest View. We had 518 educators sign up to come. A couple cool things this year. Some of our sender schools and the local elementary schools in the surrounding communities saw what we'd been doing for the last couple of years, and so they piggybacked on that. And the weekend before, our sender schools got together and hosted an elementary job fair here. And I think we helped one another. So there were 300 elementary candidates here the weekend before, and like I said, 500 with us. We also, the personnel administrators that I work with met the day before the job fair and traded all our openings. And so it was cool, like when I would have a social studies candidate come up to be able to say, we don't have any social studies openings, but I know they have one at Maine 207 and they have one at Glenbard. So we really helped each other out. So another great event with a great turnout.
Thank you. 1221, Dr. Rowe.
All right, so what we have before you is a first read of some proposed changes to board policy that is step one in our sponsorship and sponsorship and fundraising ownership in the district. As you know, when we negotiated the new contract with the Education Foundation, one of the aspects that the Education Foundation managed was fundraising and sponsorship. And a number of years ago, Mr. Maggi and team had an outside agency conduct a study on what opportunities existed for the district if we were to bring in sponsorship and naming rights around our district. And they, to the tune of seven-figure capabilities in terms of fundraising and potential. So Mr. Maggi has continued on that. Actually, I'll hand it off to him and let him explain the breakdown and why things are separated the way that they are and what we hope to accomplish with it.
Yep, so traditionally, everything was consolidated into policy 880, gifts to the district. And so what we are proposing is separating gifts to the district, which is your traditional fundraising, that schools can still do in addition to the work of the Education Foundation that supports the district. The MOU governs the relationship there. Then another policy around advertising and sponsorship. And then the final one would be honorary namings. All of that already existed in policy 880, but we thought it'd be cleaner to separate out into 880, 881, and 882. After the policies are discussed and adopted, we will then do a comprehensive review of all the administrative procedures related to gifts to the district, advertising and sponsorship, and then again, honorary namings. So we just wanted to provide some clarity around those three separate topics.
Board members, discussion?
I have to be honest, I haven't read 880 recently, so I'm going to ask for a little background. That fundraising pertains to the students within the schools, or just?
In general, so the school district can receive gifts and donations to the district. We traditionally have, and what this does is just kind of updates that language around it. So majority of that language has already existed in terms of what our schools can do.
Okay.
It has less to do with like the mechanisms for fundraising and more about
the guidelines and parameters
Right.
and beliefs around it.
Okay, and it doesn't necessarily discuss distribution of funds or anything?
It does not.
Okay,
No.
all right, thank you.
I'm a big fan of the idea of sponsorship and partnerships.
Yep.
And with the capital projects and a lot of other things that we have going on in the schools, I know there's a lot of other districts that have gone that way, where they have sponsors of their theater, their athletic fields and stuff like that, and I have no problem with that.
And discussing with legal counsel, they really do believe that that is a function of the school district itself than, let's say, the education foundation, because a business is looking for, it's part of their business model. It's advertising. That's what are looking to do. And so that really cleared it up in some of our conversations with legal counsel and the education foundation. If there's a gift that is, that, you know, the board would like to honor someone, their name by for a facility, that would be handled under honorary namings, that process.
Yeah, and I think that as long as you have parameters and strong guidelines, I think that would definitely serve our school district very well.
And that's our next step, to dig into all of the procedures.
All right, thanks.
So this, like all other policies, will live under first reading, so it'll be back for the next 2 board meetings, second reading the next board meeting, then approval the second meeting in April.
Excuse me, thank you. Okay, 1222. Who wants to go first? Mr. Fiorito or Dr. Rowe?
Mr. Fiorito is our representative at NSSEO. I'll let him take this.
Yeah, so I sent out the NSSEO updates after the last meeting, and then subsequently the next day was our Finance Committee meeting, which I know Tim also participates in, so I merged the two together. But the organization structure for NSSEO were, I would say at best, we're a little bit of an impasse with some of our board members from other districts. We have a committee of the whole meeting on March 31st in which to discuss this further, and then we will probably have another conversation on April 2nd at the regular board meeting. I'm not quite sure of the timeline of when we will come up with something, and because, you know, having that March 31st committee of the whole meeting, it's under the 48-hour guideline, whatever you want to call it, to allow us to vote on it on April 2nd. So it certainly is going to go into May. There's just some questions that some of the other board members have not had addressed to their satisfaction, I guess I would call it. I know that Dr. Shore did say at the last meeting that herself and all 8 superintendents are fully supportive of the new structure, but we just do not have all of us on the same page as of yet. So I think that's the best way to describe it respectfully.
The only thing that I would add is just that NSSEO conducted a comprehensive strategic planning process with an outside partner, HYA, and the governance adjustment was an output of that strategic planning process that involved 50+ people, students or staff, member districts, as well as current board members. That this was a collective effort that came out of that group. So I believe the will of the strategic planning process should be upheld, in my opinion.
Mr. Fiorito, do you need any kind of up or down from us, or?
No,
Okay.
it wouldn't make sense because the current draft form, it does have some shortcomings that we have addressed, minor things, like the number of meetings, when they happen, electing officers and stuff like that. Those are some changes that I think are definitely going to be needed. But I'm not quite sure what's going to happen at the next couple of meetings. It could get a complete overhaul. It could get, I think there's some concerns. It could go nowhere. It could be a 4-4 tie. And if it's a 4-4 tie, then we all know what that means. That means it goes nowhere. So
Important to note that NSSEO, I believe, is the only cooperative in the Chicagoland area that does not have a 2-tiered government structure.
And I have talked to Dr. Meg, and I know there is some frustration because, as she said at the beginning, the restructure of the boards, the operating governance board, that was critical to the strategic plan. So basically, the strategic plan is on complete hold until we resolve this. And I think that's where she has a lot of frustration.
Board members, questions? Okay, thank you for the update. So we're at 1223. Dr. Rowe.
All right. So at our last meeting 2 weeks ago, on the 27th of February, their workshop, we presented and a very, comprehensive discussion on our capital improvement needs and the facility maintenance plan, the $860 million facility maintenance plan, and broke down and had an education session and a conversation around what our options are to fund these projects. And one of those topics was to use some of the fund balance that the district has accumulated. And we wanted to do is come back tonight because we wanted to tackle this topic, and we've invited our partners at PMA to come back and have a conversation around just this singular topic so there was some understanding. The district has had a white paper that it has followed and adhered to since 2012 that mandated the district maintain a 51% fund balance. And then it initiated certain actions that needed to occur if the district fell below that. And the reason that white paper was in existence, I think, is really important because following the housing crisis of 2008, school districts across the country were in dire need because of the recession that we were in. And my understanding is District 214 was not immune to that and was on the verge of needing to issue tax anticipation warrants. So a comprehensive strategy of increasing the fund balance for the rainy day fund should this happen again, or in response to Cook County's delayed property tax collection and payment, we needed to be sure that the district had enough cash on hand to last 3 and 4 months should there be a delay in the payment of our property taxes. So there's good reason why this white paper was put in place. The reason we bring it up for a topic today is Cook County has been more consistent, and the district has accumulated, we're sitting at about 53% fund balance now, and given the state of the need of the capital improvement plan that we have, our fund balance is a mechanism that I believe we are going to have to utilize to some extent as a part of our financial strategy. Something that we'll have a discussion about this evening, but just to frame the entire thing, there are some projects that are on our list, on our needs list, that we needed to get going sooner rather than later, that we would like to utilize about $10 million of fund balance for the summer of 26 projects that we'd like to have Mr. Yulee bring back at the next board meeting for consideration. But before we go into that in detail, we wanted to really ask Tammy and Tim from PMA to come back and revisit this topic and go into detail about our current status of where we are, and I've asked them to give an explanation as to where they think we can go responsibly in respect to where we've been on how far we can push the fund balance and not disrupt our credit rating and not disrupt our bond ability. So you have an understanding of how low we can push the fund balance for these capital projects, and then we can have a discussion from there and see where we are. So welcome back, guys. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Rowe, and thank you guys for allowing us to come back and dig a little bit deeper. To begin, we wanted to just get a sense of where the fund balance is, kind of give a framework of, based on the district's 5-year projections, where we would be at year end and where we would be at your low point for any given year. So since the last meeting, since the workshop, we did update these charts to reflect the updates to the district's 5-year projections. So these are going to be current to what's expected for the end of this year and going into FY26 and 27. So what we can see here is at the end of this year, we would expect your fund balance to be at about 54.5%. So that equates to almost 199 days cash on hand at year end. But we know with the cash flow of the district, how you receive property taxes, how you spend across the year, your low point's gonna be in February of each year. So with your current projections, we would expect your low point to be in February again at about 39.3%. So the reason you have your fund balance, the reason the policy was put in place initially is taking into account where your low point is gonna be in any given year. So 39% equates to 143 days, still a comfortable fund balance. Building in some of the projects that are currently forecasted to be done, we're showing your fund balance going to 51.6%, so still above where your white paper is listed at that 51%.
And Tim, just sorry to interrupt you, but just for clarity, that 51.6% would be if we approve the additional 10 million that I just referenced for summer of '26, correct?
So that would be outside of that, right, in the 5CAS model or frontline model?
No, that's included. So we have updated that model to include what Mr. Yulee is bringing back to the board next week. So that'd be an increase from what the model was when we showed it at the workshop.
And so I raised that point, meaning.
Can you put that in English a
Yes.
little bit?
Yeah.
Because
please.
if you're saying that the June 30 of '26 is including the 10 million in the model, does that mean it's after we've paid it out and got Mr. Yulee some cash?
So last, give Mr. Yulee some cash. So the last board workshop, we presented known information at that time. Since that point, in the last, I don't know, have we had a couple of weeks here, Chris and Annetta have provided us with up-to-date, based on the most recent pay apps, their actual cash flow for their projects. There were significant adjustments in our favor because when you're doing forecasts, you use conservative numbers until you get the real numbers. So what we're doing is the original one had $15 million of summer 2026 projects. Mr. Yulee has a list of priority items that is actually 25 million. Based on the information at the workshop, you know, obviously Chris and his team, they're working months in advance. So they're working on under the assumption they have 15 million. When we reconciled in the last couple of weeks and noted the additional funding availability based on the reduction of projects, changes of you know, for instance, when they went out early with Hersey this year, I think, Chris, you quoted like a 7-figure savings on that. We had the original estimate in there. So some of it was just to clean up the numbers and get us more accurate. And so to answer your question in an impossibly long answer, yes, that includes the additional $10 million for those projects. So now, seeing these numbers, we know that next month Chris is going to bring those back, and it's still within the numbers that you're seeing here.
Okay, thank you.
I think to Dr. Rowe's point, even having those included within the projections, you would still be above that stated 51% ending fund balance in the year. So you can be comfortable. And I think for context of this conversation, what will be helpful is on this slide, what you can see is any additional construction spending, right? So we took a $10 million number there. If you spend above what's currently budgeted, what's currently projected, that equates to an impact of 3.2% on your fund balance from the last slide. So anytime when we're looking to say how much can we spend going forward, we want to have an idea of what is the effect on that fund balance. So at this point, at the end of fiscal year 26, June 30th, 2026, your fund balance is at 51%. Anything that would be needed additionally going into future years, you would expect to be under that 51% number, right? Unless savings come in from somewhere else, based on current projections, we would expect you to go below that 51%. Anything you would want to add before? No. Okay. So really just addressing the Cook County tax delay again, and we can take into account what we just looked at on the last slide. But for Cook County, again, we've seen some delays where typically they should be issuing taxes or collecting taxes on August 1st and March 1st of each year. And that has a direct implication for the school district because you receive your distributions as they have taxes come in. What happens when they move that deadline to December 1st or January 1st, as has happened, your fund balance is going to be affected by that because the delay of a large portion, 90% of your revenue, gets shifted 5 months, right? So your fund balance is going to continue going down instead of being replenished. So what we would expect in a normal year, and we picked late November because that's when the biggest effect on the tax delay was. In a normal year, we would expect you to have about 63% fund balance in November, which equates to 230 days cash on hand. When we saw Cook County tax delays, where you didn't receive taxes until late November or December or January, that fund balance went down to 22%. So a way we can look at that is if you need to spend $10 million, instead of 22%, you would be at 19%, right? So that 3% shift would bring that down. That being said, 22% on a situation that we hope is atypical, but we have seen, still equates to $80 of cash on, or 80 days of cash on hand. So when we're factoring in, looking at the size of projects you have, knowing that there needs to be additional buy-in from the district, we want to just account for, if we see a delay, how comfortable is the district going down from 22% to whatever that number may be. So with that, I guess we can start with any questions. Yes?
I actually have a question for Tim, based on what you said. So with these big projects, Tim, pardon me for my ignorance here, but the cash outlays for these big projects, it's over the course of time. It's not all up front. Am I right?
Absolutely, Tim. If you don't mind going back to slide 2, that's a great point for sure. And so that's why, Chris and his team, they work with Pepper and the architects to try and figure out how that project is going to play out so we can have an accurate cash flow. So one component or one dimension is how much does the project cost? The other equally critical is when are we doing the work? Because it may not seem like a big deal, but the difference between spending money on June 30th and July 1st can significantly impact our projections. And so it's really just a matter of teaching the model that. So when we look at this right here, I just want to talk, Tim was talking about, well, what if there was, a delay? One of the things that Dr. Rowe and I have talked about through this is, the reason we're having these conversations now is to prepare the board, right? So we're showing you right here where we are, all things being equal, no major significant changes, in February of 27. Right? And so that is going to be inclusive of the summer of 26 projects that the board is approving this month and next month. So that's already loaded into these models. And so you've got, real quick math, you've got almost 2 years of time to look for this. And so this could be a very good time each year for the board to be reviewing this. So as we have these conversations, we're not saying right now we're going below 50%. We're not even saying next year in June of 26 we will, unless we add more projects to summer of 26. Of course, we've already established that 18-month time frame in advance is critical to make sure we get good value and good projects. So that's highly unlikely. So again, I think this is more of an exercise to understand, what our capacity is and to try and give the administrative team a little bit more guidance as we start planning, because dollars to donuts, Mr. Yulee would like to be talking about summer of 28 right now, for sure. There are a lot of projects, and we simply just want to make sure that we have those guidelines so that we can begin that planning.
Thank you, Tim, and back to you, Tim.
Thank you. I think at this point we can, yes.
I guess I need a little clarification. The reason we're discussing this item is to revisit the fund balance minimum white paper and give approval to strategically spend below 51%. That's different than you said, Mr. Keeley, from what I see here. And that's kind of where I'm confused about the meeting, where we're at. We just talked about the budget, and part of the things that we have as a budget objective is to have an operating fund balance. If we're talking, and I don't know, again, where we're at with going below 51% or whatever else, I got a number of other questions to ask with that. If we're going to spend below a certain amount, or if we're going to spend more than we're taking in, that means our budget's not in balance, right? I guess. So that's one of the areas I'm wrestling with. Where are we with that going into our budget for next year? If we're not doing anything until 2 years from now, and we don't need to go below 51% like we're going to discuss according to the agenda item, then I don't have a problem with it. But I got some other questions as well. Now, I don't know if we want to address that first, or if you want me to ask my questions.
Let's address that point, because I think we simply cannot accomplish the capital maintenance plan objectives on our annual operating budget. We don't
Okay.
have enough excess to add to it to be able to do as much work as we're capable of doing. And if we can allocate, like for instance, this summer of '26, Mr. Keeley and team have identified that there's a $15 million capital improvement capabilities for us in our annual budget. And the purpose of this conversation is Mr. Yulee will come back next month with a $10 million strategic fund balance spend down to get to what we believe we need to do in the summer of '26. So in order to accomplish the capital improvement needs we have, we're going to have to dip into fund balance strategically. And this is just that conversation. So the purpose of, there are two separate conversations. So step one is, we believe that they could be married together. Step one is summer of '26, that won't take us below 51%. But step two of the conversation is, we need to revisit this because we will need to go below 51% and use the fund balance for future years.
When do you need approval to do that? When should we be voting on that to do that? It appeared like, from what I was reading here, that we were going to talk about that or vote on it almost tonight.
The intent is to have the discussion about voting at the next meeting to suspend the 51% white paper.
Okay.
In order for the board to strategically spend down that fund balance without triggering the actions that are necessary in the white paper, so that we can just be very intentional about using some of it. And then having a discussion with our partners about what is that floor that the board is comfortable with, and setting a new floor temporarily until these projects are complete.
I can give you some feelings from me where I'd be comfortable. If you want them now. If you want them at a later meeting, I can give them at a later meeting. Doesn't make any difference.
Well, this is the time, because this is the intent of this discussion, because this would be a consent item potentially at the next meeting.
I'd really like to know what's the funds available from our fund balance if we take a 5, 10, 15, or 20% reduction. What is that? What's that monies that comes out of that? Comes out of that fund balance in those increments?
Well, as they shared, $10 million was 3.2%.
Yeah, but I'd like to see the others. So that if we're talking about, if this is all we're going to do, 3.2, and that gets us to 50%, then we're still in balance with our operating budget. But if you're talking about projects beyond that, and this gets us to 2026, if we're talking about projects
We're talking
beyond
summer
that.
of 2027 before we would look to go below the 51%.
Okay, but this is some of the stuff I'm looking for that they can put in their bucket to fill or something. When we have a Moody's a bond rating report that in 2011 that said we should have our operating reserves, at a certain level, that gave us an ability to handle our bonds at a certain interest rate. Dropping down below what is the 4.0 rate that the ISBE rates us at the top of the curve, what does that do to us with our ability to borrow interest rate-wise?
So there's two things to think about, and you mentioned them. One is your credit rating, and the other is your school district financial profile score, right? So let's start with the rating. As you said, you have a AA1 credit rating from Moody's Investor Service, which you've had for a very long time. And it was updated 5 years ago when the district did its last refinancing of some bonds. So it's maintained that rating for a very long time. Moody's is not going to tell you what that fund balance minimum should be. What they are looking for is, what is your policy? Why did you pick that policy, that level? And as long as you adhere to that policy, then they're happy, meaning you choosing to make a decision about spending down some fund balance for capital projects, they're not going to look at it negatively as long as you're spending fund balance for one-time expenditures like capital projects. So they're not going to dictate to you what that fund balance level should be. Now, separate from that, you also mentioned the school district financial profile score. So as you know, as you're alluding to, one of the components of that score is what your fund balance to revenue ratio is. And the highest possible score of a 4 means you have to have a fund balance to revenue ratio of at least 25%. So you're obviously well above that now, and I would suspect that if you lowered it to something else, you're still going to be way above that highest possible score within the overall financial profile score.
Then something is wrong with our white paper, because our white paper says we gotta have a minimum of 180 days cash.
So there's multiple components to the profile score. So that one you referred to there is worth a 10th. So if you were to dip below 180 days, you'd have a 3.9. Still commendable, but not the perfect 4.0. So there are 4 different components that total up to that 100% of 4%, and all are interrelated, but separately calculated.
So don't we dip below that, I'm sorry to interrupt your question, but don't we dip below that 180 days as is demonstrated by this? We do dip below systematically during the year, and that always happens.
We go by the end of the year.
But
The
it's
June 30th measuring
there
period.
is a test date on it.
Yes, it's
Okay.
as of the annual financial report.
Well, again, I'm concerned that depending upon where we go with our investments, what interest we may lose, where we go with the fund balance, if we're gonna take away from an investment process. So that's something to be seen, I guess, later.
So I just want to be clear, Mr. Dustling, you had asked, because we've got some homework to do, I want to be clear. You've asked for kind of the financial impact of the percentages. So if we were to dip 5% of fund balance, what
5,
kind of
10,
cash
15,
does
yeah.
that? Sure, 5, 10, and 20, 5, 10, 15, 20. What is that? And then also, as we're working to further this conversation, as we're depleting that fund balance, what does that look like on our revenue for our investments? And then the other thing that I heard is the impact on our ISB financial profile score.
Yes.
So we'll have to build that, and then these different proposals will inform us on what that is. I think an important thing for our Board of Education to discuss, I completely agree. The credit rating is so critical. At some point, if the district has to issue more debt, or just as good stewards of the taxpayers' money, we want the highest rating possible. That is, I think we would all agree. Where I think the board needs to spend some time thinking is that 4.0 profile score, which does not directly impact that credit rating. It is certainly a great thing, and there are very good districts that aren't 4.0. When we've talked before, Dr. Rowe and I, about this, there are districts that will dip below that for one time, et cetera. And I think Tammy alluded to that, you know, the credit rating companies, they're really interested, are you able to maintain your services to your community without dipping into, you know, debt, without issuing new money to keep the lights on, right? And so, again, I would just say my 2 cents are, I would really like for the board to have a conversation about that 4.0 score, and we can continue providing more information. We can calculate and see what the impact is. But again, the difference between, and I'm not here to tell the board what to do, but the difference between a 3.9 financial profile score district and a 4.0, I just don't see that being remarkable. So again, I appreciate the eye on the prize with the Moody's and the investment. I'd be happy to answer other questions, but I just wanted to make sure I captured that in my notes from Mr. Dustling.
Thank you.
That's a really good point. Moody's is interested in what your financial profile score is, but on the other hand, it's one tiny thing that they look at because they do their own evaluation with other criteria, your socioeconomics, other things that have nothing to do with your financial profile score, and quite frankly, a lot of things you can't control. So they're interested in it, but it is far from being a main criteria in what your credit rating is.
Board members, anything else? Well,
Yeah.
we have a continued discussion.
No,
Oh, go ahead.
You know, you were talking about the stuff that Bill's asking for. I guess my focus would be on the debt. If we wanted to issue debt, based on your last presentation, if we chose to take part of that 800 million and say, let's look at our wants, I mean, not our wants, our needs and our life and safety projects and focus on that. And if we had a number, could we use debt to finance that? And if we did, would any of this have an impact on the cost of our debt? I mean, that's you know, what we're here for. If we're stewards of the purse, right, we would want to look at that. Thank you.
Anything else, board members? Well, Dr. Rowe, I think we have a few questions that need to be answered. And go ahead, your take.
I was just going to say, we'll bring answers to those questions back at the next meeting and continue the discussion. We're not in a rush.
Okay, it's really, we're going to continue the discussion. We're not going to put it on as an action.
The next time, we will come back and discuss with the answers and just continue to talk. Like Tim said, we have time. This is not a rush. This is
Right.
we're playing the long game here to accomplish the goal of updating our buildings. And
Yeah.
how we get to common ground on how you'd like to use the fund balance, I think, worthy time and a good discussion.
No, I think we need to have that discussion now, and really appreciate it. And thank you for coming back. Really appreciate the discussion here.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are going into closed session, and we will have action after closed session. So I need a motion and a second to go into closed session for the purpose
So
of
moved.
discussing the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in an educational setting, or legal counsel for a public body. I heard a motion. Is there a second?
Second?
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Palmer. Aye. Rauch.
Aye.
Dustling.
Yes.
Fiorito.
Yes.
Heineman.
Aye.
Walker.
Yes.
Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Okay. Pardon, what, do you want her to stay here that long? She's waiting.
Could you tell?
Okay, so we're back in open session, and we're back to 13.1311. Mr. Dustling.
I'd like to ask for approval of the transaction reports, personnel transaction reports, please.
Second?
Motion and a second. Discussion. Please call the roll.
Dustling?
Yes.
Rauch?
Aye.
Fiorito?
Yes.
Heineman?
Aye.
Palmer? Aye. Walker?
Yes.
And Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, 13.12, please.
I'd like to move for the approval of 13.1.2, approval of modifications to job descriptions.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Please call the roll.
Palmer? Aye. Fiorito?
Yes.
Dustling?
Yes.
Heineman?
Aye.
Rauch?
Aye.
Walker?
Yes.
And Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. 13.13, Mr. Dustling, please.
Approval of resolution authorizing honorable dismissal due to reduction in force of probationary part-time education associate member contracts.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Please call a roll.
Dustling?
Yes.
Palmer? Aye. Fiorito?
Yes.
Heineman?
Aye.
Rauch?
Aye.
Walker?
Yes.
And Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Motion and a second. 13.14, Lenny.
I motion to approve reemployment of Education Association members.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Please call the roll.
Walker?
Yes.
Heineman?
Aye.
Dustling?
Yes.
Fiorito?
Yes.
Palmer? Aye. Rauch?
Aye.
And Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Palmer? Aye. Fiorito?
Yes.
Dustling? Heineman?
Aye.
Rauch?
Aye.
Walker?
Yes.
And Kreutzer.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.